I had always loved my peaceful little neighborhood. My home sat at the corner of a quiet cul-de-sac, surrounded by friendly neighbors, except one. Her name was Karen, the self-appointed voice of the HOA. She wasn't officially in charge, but she acted like she was. Every week she would patrol the street with her clipboard, noting down every little thing she didn't like, from someone's mailbox color to a flower pot that didn't fit the community style. At first I ignored it. Most of us did. But one morning, things took a strange turn. I walked outside and found Karen standing by my backyard fence, holding a tape measure and muttering to herself. "Karen," I called out, "can I help you with something?" Without looking up, she replied, "Yes, actually. According to the HOA's new survey, part of your fence is built on association land. I'll need you to remove it." I blinked, confused. "That fence has been here since I bought the place 10 years ago." "Well," she said smugly, "HOA property rules can change. I'll file a report if you don't cooperate." That afternoon, I received an official-looking letter taped to my door. A notice claiming I had violated property boundaries and needed to move my fence within 2 weeks or face a fine. I laughed at first, thinking it was just another one of her overreactions. But then I checked the letterhead. It had the HOA seal and a case number. That's when I realized she was serious. I called a licensed land surveyor to double-check my property lines. A few days later, he confirmed that my fence was completely within my property. He even provided signed documentation. I handed the report to Karen the next morning. "Here," I said calmly, "official proof that my fence is legal." She took the papers, glanced at them for a second, and smirked. "We'll see about that." A week later, I got another envelope, this time from the county courthouse. Karen had actually filed a legal property claim against me. At that moment, I realized this wasn't just a neighborly dispute anymore. It was war. When I opened the envelope from the county courthouse, I couldn't believe my eyes. It wasn't a warning, it was a summons. Karen had actually filed an official property claim accusing me of illegally occupying HOA land. I sat down at my kitchen table, staring at the papers. This was unreal. I had proof, maps, and legal documents showing that the land was mine. Still, she had managed to turn a petty argument into a full-blown court case. I called my lawyer, Mark, who had helped me with my home purchase years ago. He came over that afternoon, flipping through the papers and shaking his head. "She doesn't have a case," he said. "But people like this, they don't care about being right. They care about control." We prepared our evidence carefully. My original deed, the certified survey, property tax records, everything that proved ownership beyond doubt. A few days later, I saw Karen at the local park. She was talking to a few neighbors, waving around copies of her complaint as if she'd already won. "He took HOA land," she said loud enough for me to hear. "The board and I will make sure justice is served." I took a deep breath and walked away. The best revenge, I reminded myself, was the truth. The first court hearing was set for Friday morning. When I arrived, Karen was already there, dressed formally and clutching a thick folder. She gave me a proud smile as if this was some victory parade. The judge, a calm and patient woman, began by reviewing both sides. Karen spoke first, passionately describing how community land had been stolen. She even brought printed photos of my fence, circled in red ink like it was some crime scene. Then it was my turn. Mark handed over the survey, property deed, and a letter from the county confirming that the HOA's map Karen used wasn't official. It was just a draft from an old landscaping plan. The judge looked through everything silently. After a moment, she said, "Ms. Karen, I see no legal evidence that this land belongs to the HOA. In fact, all records show it belongs to the defendant." Karen's confident smile began to fade. The judge continued, "We'll hold a final hearing next week to close this case. But as of now, I see no violation." As I left the courtroom, Karen avoided eye contact. For the first time, she looked uncertain. I knew she wouldn't stop just yet, but I also knew the truth was finally catching up to her. The week between the first hearing and the final hearing felt like an eternity. Every time I walked past my fence, I felt a mixture of pride and frustration. Pride because I knew the land was mine, and frustration because Karen had made something so simple feel like a battlefield. When the final hearing day arrived, the courtroom was busier than before. A few neighbors had come to watch, curious about the HOA drama that had been unfolding for weeks. Karen sat at her usual spot, papers in front of her, clipboard at the ready. She shot me a look that tried to hide her nervousness, but it didn't fool anyone. The judge called the session to order. After reviewing all submitted documents, testimony and official land surveys, she began. "It is clear that the property in question belongs to the defendant. The HOA claim is dismissed. I felt my shoulders relax instantly. The truth had won. Karen's face turned red. She opened her mouth as if to argue, but the judge raised a hand. This matter is concluded. Any further disputes about this? Property line should be resolved with mutual respect and communication, not legal action. I thanked my lawyer quietly, shaking his hand. Mark smiled. Told you she didn't have a case. As I stepped outside, some neighbors came over to congratulate me. Finally, said one of them, laughing, that Karen really needs a hobby. I looked back at my fence, sturdy, straight, and untouched. For 10 years it had been part of my property, and now the law officially recognized it. The relief was incredible. No more letters, no more threats, no more fake claims, just peace. Karen, meanwhile, left the courthouse silently, clutching her folder like a lifeline. I couldn't help but notice that she avoided looking at anyone. Her bravado had faded completely. That evening, I shared the news with my family. The judge sided with you. My neighbor's kid cheered, running up and down the yard. It was a simple moment, but it felt like a huge victory. I realized something important that day. Sometimes, people create chaos to feel important. But when the facts are clear and the truth is on your side, patience and preparation will always win. By the time the sun set, I was back on my porch, sipping tea and enjoying the quiet. The yard looked just like it had before all this started. Only now, I appreciated it even more. Every tree, every flower bed, every inch of fence reminded me that standing your ground legally and calmly is the best defense against unnecessary conflict. For the first time in weeks, I could relax. Karen's fake claim had failed, and my property, my home, was safe. After the court ruling, life in the neighborhood slowly returned to normal. For the first time in weeks, I didn't check my mailbox expecting another notice or walk outside worried about someone measuring my property. My home felt like home again. Neighbors stopped by to congratulate me. Some even joked about Karen, laughing softly as they shared stories of her past complaints. But I knew better than to gloat. The goal wasn't to humiliate anyone. It was to protect what was mine while staying calm and lawful. I took the opportunity to make a few improvements to my yard. I planted flowers along the fence line, added a small bench, and even hung a welcome sign on my porch. It felt symbolic, reclaiming my space, not just legally, but personally. Karen, on the other hand, seemed to vanish from the neighborhood for a while. She stopped her daily patrols and never mentioned the property claim again. Whether she reflected on her behavior or simply lost interest, I wasn't sure, and honestly I didn't care. What mattered was the peace we had regained. One Saturday, a new neighbor moved in next door. I welcomed them warmly, sharing a few tips about the neighborhood and introducing them to others. I realized that community was more than rules and complaints. It was about relationships and respect. Reflecting on everything that had happened, I understood a few important lessons. 1. Stay calm and collect evidence. No matter how outrageous a claim may seem, facts and documentation will always speak louder than accusations. 2. Legal protection is essential. Having a lawyer and official surveys made all the difference in defending my property. 3. Maintain perspective. Some people create drama for attention. Letting emotions control your actions only escalates the problem. I also realized how valuable a supportive community can be. Neighbors checked in, offered help, and celebrated the outcome. Their support reminded me that even when someone like Karen tries to stir trouble, there are plenty of people who prioritize kindness, honesty, and fairness. As the sun set, I sat on my porch and admired my yard. The fence was intact, the flowers bloomed, and the house felt like a true sanctuary again. All the tension, the letters, the court appearances, they were behind me. Most importantly, I had learned that standing up for yourself respectfully and legally not only protects your property but also restores peace of mind. Karen's claim had failed. The judge sided with me, and life had returned to the calm, happy rhythm it should have. I smiled, taking a deep breath of evening air, grateful that my home was truly my sanctuary, once and for all.